Everyone, let's discuss about scheduling and the different kind of scheduling in this session. We know scheduling is nothing but deciding which program should be given the CPU and for how long. So this scheduling can be two kind. One is non-preemptive and the other one is preemptive. So if you take out non-preemptive scheduling, here the server always processes a scheduled request until it gets completed. So here scheduling is performed only when the previously scheduled request gets completed. When we take out this non-preemptive scheduling, there are two kinds. One is first come first served scheduling, and the next we have shortest request next scheduling. Let's discuss about both of these in this session. We'll take an example where we have taken 5 processes P1, P2, P3, P4 and P5. We have been given the arrival time and service time for each process. For this process, let's discuss how this FCFS and SRN scheduling will be working. So here you can see that process P1 is arriving at time 0 and it is serviced, that is nothing but it is getting completed at 3 time units. Process P1 is arriving at 0 and it is getting completed at 3. Therefore, the turnaround time for process P1 is equal to 3. Whereas the weighted turnaround time is nothing but turnaround time divided by service time. So turnaround time is 3 and service time is also 3. Therefore, weighted turnaround time for process P1 is equal to 1. See here, at time 0 we don't have any process, therefore directly P1 is taken and it has been scheduled. So this process, it is getting completed at 3 time unit, therefore the turnaround time is 3 and weighted turnaround time is 1. So next we will take the next process, because this non-preemptive scheduling we have already said it will be executed in order. So until P1 is not completed, we will not move with the next process. So we will take out the next process, which is P2. So here you can see P2 is arrived at 2 and it has been serviced for 3 time units. P2 has arrived at 2 and it is serviced for 3 time units. But we cannot execute P2 since it has arrived at 2. We have to wait until P1 gets completed. So P1 is completing at 3. Therefore, the execution of P2, it will start at 3 and it will take, from here it will take 3 time units to get complete. So 3 time units nothing but 6, but it has been arrived at 2. So now the turnaround time is nothing but when the job is submitted to when the job is completed. Therefore it will be 4. The turnaround time is 4, whereas weighted turnaround time is nothing but turnaround time divided by service time, which is equal to 1.33 for process P2. See here, process P2 is having turnaround time is 4 and weighted turnaround time is 1.33. After this P2, we will go with process P3. So process P3 has been arrived at 3 and it is getting completed after two time units. We have said process P3 is arriving at 3. Even though it is arriving at 3, we are not starting its execution at 3. We will be waiting until P2 gets completed. Therefore, P2 is getting completed at 6. From here, it will take 2 time units to complete its processing. Therefore, the job is submitted at 3 and it is getting completed at 8. Right, the job is submitted at 3 and it is getting completed 8, because it is starting its execution at 6 and it is getting completed at 8. Therefore, the turnaround time will be 5. The turnaround time will be 5, whereas weighted turnaround time will be 5 by 2, which is equal to 2.5 for process P3. See here in this table, P3 turnaround time is 5 and weighted turnaround time is 2.50. Next we will take out process P4, which is arrived at 5, but it will start its execution at 8. From 8 it will take 5 service time unit to get completed. Therefore, the total turnaround time will be turnaround time will be 8, because it is starting its execution at the time when the P3 has ended. So the P3 has ended at 8, right? P3 has ended at 8. From there, it will be taking 5 time units to get completed. Therefore, the turnaround time is 8 and weighted turnaround time will be 8 by 5. So 8 by 5 nothing but 1.60. That is what it is shown. And lastly, we have process P5. This process P5 has been arrived at 9, but it will start its execution after P4 is completed. So P4 is getting completed at 13. From 13 it is taking 3 time units to get completed. Therefore, it is starting its processing at 13 and ending at 16, but it is arrived at 9. So now your job is submitted at 9 and getting completed at 16, right? Therefore, turnaround time will be 7. Turnaround time will be 7 and weighted turnaround time will be which is equal to 2.33. This is what it has been shown. So now we have taken FCFS, that is first come first served scheduling. So this table, this part of the table, it is showing the completed process ID, the turnaround time and weighted turnaround time, the processes in the system, and this is scheduled process. And these two, what we have, TA bar and W bar, they are the mean. So mean 5 TA bar turnaround time and mean weighted turnaround time. So this is about first come first served scheduling. In FCFS scheduling, the short process will be suffering from high weighted turnaround, that is the poorer service compared to the other requests. So we'll move with the next kind of scheduling, that we call it as SRN, nothing but shortest request next scheduling, where the scheduler always schedules the shortest of arrived request. Therefore, the request remains pending until all shortest requests have been surveys. So now we'll take out the same example with respect to SRN now. So now we said we will be considering the shortest request. The time what it has taken for surveying, it should be short. So now, the same example, same processes P1 to P5, the arrival time has been given and the service time has been given. So when we take out these processes, first process will be P1 only absolutely. Therefore, it will be scheduled and it will be executed. The next process in the system will be process P2 and P3. P2 and P3. Now we have to make the decision which process should be scheduled. We said shortest request, nothing but the request which is having shortest service time. So now we can see that with the P3 we have the shortest request time compared to P2. Therefore, when we take out P2 and P3, P3 will be scheduled. Here, process P1 has been submitted at 0 and it is getting completed at 3. Therefore, turnaround time will be 3 and weighted turnaround time will be 1. So next we said we will take out both process P2 and P3, where P3 will be serviced because it is having shortest time unit. Therefore, it will start its execution at 3, right? And it needs 2 time units to get complete. Therefore, it is ending at 5. Therefore, the turnaround time for process P2 is 2. The turnaround time for process P2 is 2, and service time, that is weighted turnaround time, is calculated as turnaround time divided by service time, that is 2 by 2, which is equal to 1, right? So we took out P1. When we took out P2 and P3, we got to know that P3 is having the less time. Therefore, we scheduled P3. Then we will take out P2 and P4. When we take out P2 and P4, you can see here the time is less with respect to P2 compared to P4. So we took out first P2 and P3. When we compared P2 and P3, P3 was having shortest time. Therefore, it has been scheduled and it has been executed. Next, we will take out P2 and P4. We will take out the time now. So when we take out this comparison, P2 is having shortest time. Therefore, P2 will be scheduled now. You can see here P2 has been scheduled now. So now, according to table, the P2 has been arrived at 2, but it is completing its work at the time units of 8. Right, it is getting completing at 8, but it has been arrived at 2. Therefore, the turnaround time will be 6, whereas the weighted turnaround time will be turnaround time divided by service time. The service time is 3, therefore weighted turnaround time will be 2. Next we'll schedule P4. So P4 is starting at 8 and it is taking 5 time units to get complete, therefore it is ending at 13. Whereas this P4 has arrival time of 5. So now the process P4 has arrived at 5 and it is getting completed at 13, right? Therefore the turnaround time is equal to 8, whereas weighted turnaround time is 8 by 5, which is equal to 1.60. And lastly we are left with process P5, which is arrived at 9 from the table, which is arrived, this process P5 has been arrived at 9, but it is starting its work at time units of 13, that is after this P4 has been completed. It is taking totally 3 time units to complete. So it is started at 13 and ending at 16, but it has been arrived at 9, right? So now the turnaround time is equal to 7, whereas weighted turnaround time is equal to 7 divided by 3, which is equal to 2.33. 2.33.